Ship AI products users pay for, the 7-step framework that killed 83% of GPT. This result is already changing real workflows. Watch how execution details, not headline claims, decide who wins from here. We will map trigger, incentive shift, and downstream impact before the close. They launched chat interfaces. They wrapped GPT with a prompt. They waited for users to show up. None of them did. Here's what separates the products people actually pay for from the 83% that collapse. It's not the model. It's not the UI. It's the framework. Let's start with the mistake everyone makes. You build a chatbot. You add a custom prompt. You deploy it. You think the hard part is done. Then 3 months pass. Your users are gone. Your retention is 2%. Your MRR is 0. Why? Because you solved the wrong problem. The products that hit $50,000 MRR didn't start with an LLM. They started with a workflow. A real one. Something someone was doing manually, losing time on, making mistakes in. Then they asked, what if we wrapped a deterministic system around an LLM to handle this specific bottleneck? That's the framework. 7 steps. And understanding them is the difference between a side project and a business. Step 1. Diagnosis. You identify a workflow that creates 3 specific conditions. First, measurable repetition. People do this task the same way every week. Second, clear inputs and outputs. You know exactly what goes in. You know exactly what should come out. Third, costly mistakes. When this workflow breaks, money walks or time dies. Take medical billing. Coders spend 8 hours a day matching diagnoses to billing codes. They make errors. Errors cost the practice $40,000 per quarter. Repetitive. Structured. Expensive. This is a diagnosis workflow. Step 2. Deterministic scaffolding. This is where most people fail. They think the LLM does the work. No. The system does the work. The LLM is one component inside a deterministic pipeline. What does that mean? You build rules. You build validators. You build fallbacks. The LLM generates a code. A rule checks if the code is valid. A validator checks if it matches the context. If it fails, the system doesn't guess. It escalates. It asks for human input. You're not replacing humans. You're removing the busy work so humans can do what humans do best, judgment calls. Step 3. Failure mode mapping. What can go wrong? Not theoretically. Practically. Test it. Run 100 real inputs through your system. Which ones break? Which ones hallucinate? Which ones produce unusable output? Now build handlers for each one. If the LLM can't decide between 2 codes, don't let it guess. Show the human both options ranked by confidence. That's a failure mode handler. That's what separates $50,000 MRR from $0. Step 4. Business metric instrumentation. This is critical and almost nobody does it. You're not measuring model accuracy. You're measuring whether the business metric moved. In medical billing, the metric isn't did the code get generated. It's did this system reduce manual coding time by 30% while maintaining 98% accuracy in claims? Those are different questions. Different measurements. Different success criteria. You need 3 measurements minimum. First, what's the user's time savings? Second, what's the error reduction? Third, what's the actual revenue impact? If you can't measure it in business terms, you're building a demo, not a product. Step 5. Systematic evaluation. Not on your laptop. In production. With real users. With real workflows. With real stakes. You take a cohort. 10% of your users. You roll out the new workflow. They use it for 2 weeks. You measure the 3 metrics from step 4. If they move in the right direction, you roll to 25%. Then 50%. Then everyone. If they don't move, you go back to step 3. You find the failure mode. You fix it. You test again. This is boring. This is unsexy. This is exactly why 83% of founders skip it and fail. Step 6. Workflow integration. Your product doesn't exist in isolation. It lives inside someone's day. Their calendar. Their email. Their CRM. Their spreadsheet. If your product requires them to context switch to use it, you've already lost. Real products disappear into the work. They integrate so cleanly that using the product feels like the natural next step in the workflow, not an interruption. Step 7. Price discovery. This is where you learn if anyone will actually pay. You start with a hypothesis. You think this system saves 10 hours per week for a medical practice. At $150 per hour loaded cost, that's $1,500 per week, $6,000 per month in value. So you charge $2,000 per month. Then you sell it. You measure what actually happens. Some users save 10 hours. Some save 5. Some don't use it at all. Now you know. You adjust. You find the segment where the value is clearest. You focus there. You charge accordingly. The products that work do this 7-step loop 3 times minimum before they claim product market fit. That's 6 months of work. Unglamorous work. Workflow research. Failure mode testing. Metric instrumentation. Meanwhile, the 83% who failed? They were done in 4 weeks. They had a prompt. They had a UI. They thought they were ready to scale. They weren't. Here's what changes next. The wave of AI products that survive won't be the ones with the fanciest models. They'll be the ones with the most boring systems. The most rigorous failure mode handling. The most obsessive focus on one workflow, solved completely, measured ruthlessly, integrated seamlessly. If you're building an AI product, you already know this is hard. What this framework gives you is a map. Not a promise. A map. Follow it. Don't skip steps. Your MRR will thank you. 83% of AI startups built a chatbot and called it a product. They wrapped GPT with a prompt and waited for revenue. It never came. The 7% that hit 50,000 MRR did something different. They didn't start with the model. They started with a real workflow.